All right. Good day once again, guys. Thank you for being part of today's class. It's another episode on our community call, and we are diving deeper. We're on week 5 on our Framer journey, and assuming I'm guessing that we have learned at least so much along the way, and we have like at least ideas to push out like website landing pages, at least responsive landing pages and at least websites using Framer. Like we understand stack, we understand layout, flexbox, and a whole lot of things basically. So moving forward today, we want to look at introduction to interactions. So we started last week. I explained nested interactions with components using states, how that you can have over press state. I explained all of that. We also looked at trying to like do like a framer fix. So we took another like section and then we just tried to like fix it basically. But today we're just going to do introduction to interactions. We would try to do a framer fix if we have that time. We'll do like some recap as to what we have learned because even the submissions that we have gotten, as much as they are very good, I feel like they can be like better improved. Like the submissions that we have gotten from the assignments that we did both this week and last week. It's nice, but it can be way better. And then we'll just talk about introduction to CMS briefly, although we'll look at maybe like next week, but for now, just very briefly. And then we'll look at our assignment for today, basically. So let's just get started. So in instead of Framer, um one of the ways to or the way interaction is like accessed from Framer is not exactly the word interaction. So if you want to add like interactions, okay, first of all, what is an interaction? Interaction simply means like movements that are caused when a user like interacts with a particular, let's say, inter element or section or yeah, basically particular elements in a particular design. So interactions are like motion or movements or effects that result when a user like interacts with any part of the website. That's the first thing to know, that interaction can happen with any like part of the website. Other thing to also notice is that using Framer, you can actually use any frame to do an interaction. Let me recap. So I said you can do interaction with like any section or like any element. Also, interaction needs to be applied to a frame. So, instance, let's say you bring in an SVG and you want to add a particular interaction to it. It may not exactly work because it's an SVG. But if you put that SVG inside of a frame or inside of a stack, for instance, then you'll be able to add like more interactions, like basically to it. And there are different kinds of interaction. Why do we have interaction? Interactions just help you to convey like that sense of what's the word? How do I explain it? Interactions help to like convey like meaning, like emotions into design. So you can have like a static web page like what we have here, and then let me just play it. I just scrolling and okay, it's loading, but I just scrolling and there's really nothing that is happening. But for instance, if you look at Child Deck, okay, let me just open Child Deck. So if you check Child Deck's website, you see a lot of like interactions. Although some of them are, for instance, okay, yeah, this is what we have, and then you can just scroll and then see this one is all right, but then it could be like there are different things you could add to spice it up. So interaction is a way to spice up like web design or yeah, design in general, especially like spicing things up like with motion. Motion is a different, like you get topic entirely. Motion has its own components, its own principles, and we've studied about that at least to some bits when we did our motion like learning curve. But let me just open ChildX website and you can just like see basically how interactions like come into play while it's loading. The hero section is a very good example, although it's a complex. Okay, yeah. Under interactions, so they are like simple interactions and then they are complex interactions. So ChildX zone, well, looks like it's complex, but let's just wait for it to load basically. There's some interaction. So you can see that this thing moves in, and then we can see like all these the riders basically they are also moving and is moving, and then this text is changing. This is also an interaction actually. Also, we looked at when you hover on something and what happens. We have looked at those kind of like interaction using components. We explained that you can have like over state, you can have click state. So that can be done using components. And also we can also combine interactions separately or with components. So like for instance, in this case now, this is most likely an interaction using components. It's not just a random effect. This is not on over. and this is not like exactly after delay using like normal like interaction. You need a component to do this because it's component that can allow you to have like different layers of you get information that can more or less make us build on interactions basically. So long story short, let's just go into frame and just begin to look at how to get started. So as I said, you can animate any layer or any frame with as adding interactions to them. So let's just click on how, let's just get started. So assuming we want to, let's say this particular one here, this text layer. For us to add an interaction to this, we'll just click on this effect, and then we'll have to choose what kind of interaction we want to add. So there is appear, over, press, loop, drag, scroll animation, scroll speed, scroll transform. And then we'll just look at them like very, very, what's the word? We look at them like at least very like in like an overview basically. I would expect that after this video we can come into like all these things and try to play with it, like just do something extreme and see how it works, and then that way you can have an idea of what the like effect does, and then you can now find like what works for you. So also when it comes to effects, as much as they are good guidelines or they are good standard or good principles, and example of a good principle when it comes to effects is that don't overdo it. So it's not like everything must have effect. Like, oh, you want to do effect here, add effect here, to button, to everywhere. No. The simpler, the better. The more minimal it is, the better. Because if you add interaction or effects to every part, it may also confuse user because that way now they're trying to struggle with, you maybe you touch this one, something moves, touch on something moves, touch on something moves. Like too many what's the word? Too many sudden movements is not exactly good for user interaction. So you want to keep it minimal, you want to keep it smooth, and you want to make it like enjoyable basically. So let's just start. Let's pick this particular header and click on effect. So let me just drag my screen a little bit so we can see. All right, so let's there's also text, but we'll not look at text. Let's just start with appear. So click on this appear, and then there is a trigger, there is like a preset, and then you can now look at the effect. So this trigger is like on appear. What on appear just means is that when you load this particular like page, and then once you see this particular like layer, then it has when it appears on your screen basically, then the interaction comes into view. There is on scroll. So when you scroll and then you scroll into this particular like you get layer, then this trigger is like what makes the what's the word what makes the effect to happen. That's what this trigger is what makes the effect to happen. So it can be on appear, it can be on scroll, like when you scroll, it can be layer in view, it can be section in view. Layer in view is anytime that this layer comes into view, like your high view, like for instance, you are scrolling, whenever you come into the view of this layer, the interaction will happen. You could be section in view. It means that, for instance, this is just a layer, but this is like a section, like this hero section. And whenever this section is in view, then you can also set the interaction to happen. So it depends on how like you get detailed you want and what exactly are you looking to achieve. So different strokes for different folks, basically. Anyone that works with your interaction or what you have in mind. But let's just click on this particular one, and then let's just get started. So we'll click on, okay, let's cancel it. So let's start, let's say on appear. So we want it to, let's say we want it to slide in from the bottom, and then we'll now click on this effect to like go deep into it. So all these things are things that could happen when we like this is more settings for the effect basically. You can set the opacity, you can set the scale, you can set the skew, like switching it, like just skewing the particular like layer. You can also set the offset. So this offset is set to 150, and that's why it's down. Let's bring it up. This is just how much should he move. Okay, zero. Yeah, basically opacity, let's make it one. So we can say that when this layer, like when to set the effects on appear, we want it to, let's go again, we want to slide in from the bottom, and then we can now go into it and tweak it. So this is how far it will slide, like from here to here. So we can say, let's say maybe like 80. We offset it by like 80 pixels. And then we can, okay, the opacity is zero. We can make it like 0.5. That's like half the value. Okay, scale is how big should it be from the original. So you can also increase like the scale. Maybe you want it to be like 2 times, or and please note that this value 0.5 and 1 is similar to like 50 and 100%. That's the way like things work inside of Framer. So instead of it to say 50% opacity, you say 0.5. That's like half of one. One is like 100. So this scale is one, that's 100%. If you say two now or 1 point, you can see that this thing is getting big. But let's just leave it like this and then just leave it. And then you can play and let's see what happens. Okay, it happened very sudden. Let's reload again. Okay, that's very sudden. Okay, yeah, let's just go back and tweak some things again. So again, we want to slide in from the bottom. Let's go to the effects. Let's see. Transition, yes. Transition is just how the movement will occur, like from beginning to start, or from end to begin, depending on how you look at it. So we click on this transition, and then we can, this time here is the total time for the interaction. And so it happens very fast, but we can make it like, let's make it like one or something and see what happens. And then this graph, you can see the effect of when you tamper with any of all these things, you can now see the effect. All this, you can play with it like later on to see how like things work. So this one is a particular way. This is called Spring. So most people use this one because it's a lot easier. But if you want to like dig into things very well, like if you remember when we were doing our motion learning curve, we had like these Bezier handles. I don't know if you can remember though, but like this Bezier handle is like similar to this spring. It's actually the spring, but you can now tweak things like this is for people that are more advanced. Like if you have some background in motion design, you must have come across, let's say, like the speed graph or the value graph. This is like a speed graph inside of like Framer. And so for people that are used to like you have a motion advantage, then it will be easier for you to actually like understand how all this work. But basically, you can just see like how the speed graph works. Basically, it's moving fast, then ending slow. Like you can tweak it anyhow you want and see like the effect that you get. And then let's just so the time that you take for the entire like motion. Let's make like two. Okay, let's make like 2 seconds. Let's hope it's not too slow. Two. Okay, let's make it two. And then delays. How long should we delay before the motion like kicks in? So we can give the delay of let's say like one, and then let's see how things work. So we'll play it again, and then so we see it's coming up, but we just have to tweak it till we get what we want. So as I said, most of these things you will still have to experiment by yourself and see what works basically. Like you have to check, oh, what works with what you're trying to do. You'd okay, let's go back to spring. Let's make it like let's make the bounce like zero. And then we can have an idea of how this thing works with this particular graph. It's like you're tweaking things about. Let's take the delay. Let's make it like 0.5. Let's see. Okay, let's make the second like 1.5. Okay, or 1.2. Let's see. Okay, let's play it again. Okay, yeah. So well, this also works. So that is on appear. So this is one effect that we added there on appear. Let's pick the subtext here and add another effect to it basically. Let's pick the subtext here, and then we can add another effect. All right, so let's just pick effect here. Let's say on over. So basically, on over, what do you want to happen? The scale, let's still make it to be one, and then the opacity to be one. We can say, okay, on over, let's allow it to rotate, just so you understand what we're trying to say. And then we can come to spring, and then okay, this one will be too fast. Let's make the total time to be like 1 second. For most of these things, there is not exactly like a standard in that sense. It's mostly still based on how you feel like it works. Although it's good that when you're trying to like make motion, you can look at most, for instance, some design system actually have motion guidelines. Like we check material design system by Google, they have like how long an interaction should take. So you could use that as a sense of, you could use that and study like for more information and to understand better. Basically, I'll just be playing around with figures just to see what we have. And then, as I said, I would expect that we can always go here, okay, to see how things work basically. And then this graph also gives us like a good explanation of how like it's going to happen when we do our settings here. So let's just leave it like this and then you see what happens. Okay, so we can see on over, I just rotated it and that's what is happening here. And you will notice that this same over can actually be done using like a component. As I said, is a bind of both worlds. In some cases, a component may be the best way to achieve some things. For instance, I would not expect that you apply an over effect to a button. I don't know if you get the point because you can actually apply over state to a button. I don't know if you get the idea that we don't always need to like use some particular like effects or let's say transitions. Like we can actually, what's the word? We can use them intelligently. Like as I said, for a button, you don't want to use like this over that we're using here. You probably want to use over like overt state. So there are just ways to play around the basics. So let's just go back and then let's pick this one so we can delete it and try and that effect. So basically, it's just trying and okay, let's look at press. So um when we press it, let's allow the scale to go down to 0.6 and the opacity by like 0.5. And then the spring too, you can also like tweak all of all this and see like how it works. Or we can even try the graph and then just see. This means that it will start fast and to end slow. So we can also draw the Bezier like handles basically. As I said, if you have some bit of experience with the speed graph in After Effects, this should look like very, very familiar. And total time, you can make it like 1 second. And let's just see. Okay, I think it's okay. Let's just play it again so we see. Okay, let me reload. All right, so I'm clicking on it. So we did the on click like particular on click effect. So when I hover on it, nothing happens because I've deleted the over interaction. But when I click on it, you can see that it's responding. But what we did is on press. So I need to press it like with my mouse, and you can see that it's actually like responding. So as I said, I'm just explaining like them basically. The good thing or the thing I would expect is that you go over them in more detail and then you can use them intelligently. As I said, when it comes to interactions, the issue is that you don't overdo it, or the guidelines that don't overdo it. So this one, for instance, is overdue. Is overdue. So yeah, you just have to find what works basically, and then use it for what you need. So as I said, we're just doing all this to understand how they work. When you want to like do your own interaction, I would expect that you go and check out like other like you get pages. You can go to our word, for instance. Our word is a website that has like usually like curate different websites that have like very very nice animation or nice interaction, and then you can just check them out. For instance, this one that we have been using, like you can see that if you scroll you can see the way things are happening, and these are just fluid like interactions. Basically, you can just see how things are happening. There are many things that are going up here, but you can just have an idea of what a fluid interaction looks like, and then you can have an idea of how it was achieved too. Like you can see that there is a scale that is happening here, like different things. Basically, you can have an idea of how it was achieved basically. So let's just go back to our frame and then let's continue. So let's continue. So this, let's pick this particular image, let's add an effect to it. Let's pick this effect. Let's do drag. What I want us to do is that I want us to be able to, okay, so what drag does is that it allows you to be able to like move different elements about. So, and this settings just means that, oh, for instance, snap back, if we make it no, okay, let's just have see the way it works basically. So let's play it. And we can see that we can actually drag this about. That all drag is happening. So that snapback that we did not turn on, what it means is that if you drag it, it will just keep like you will stay wherever it is that you put it. It will not go back unless you like reload the page. So what we want to do is that we would not want this kind of interaction. We want them to be able to, even if they drag it, let it go back to where it is. So let me just go back to the effect and then let's allow snapback to be yes. So let me just play back, and then if you drag, you can see that it goes back. It goes back. So this is the drag effect. And also on that drag, let's just under the transition, you can see you can also play with like this stiffness, you can, or the damping too, you can see and then see the effect on this preview basically. Is we talking? Can you mute so that we can hear ourselves basically? All right, so free form. Let's just see. Okay, no, let's just leave this one like that. So you can just play around there and then just see how like things work. This is drag effect. Because of time, we'll not really go deep into it, but you can just play around and see how it works. What other thing have we not touched? Let's delete this one. And that effect again, let's see. Loop. Okay, so loop okay, let's just do the loop. So basically, loop just means a particular interaction that will not end. So for instance, GIFs are usually looped. When you see like a particular, let's say, video that is playing and starting again by itself, it's most likely like a loop. For instance, our tickers is like a loop because when you play it, they just begin to go, they don't stop. So we can do a loop for different parameters here. And for instance, let's do a loop with like, let's say rotation. We can rotate it by, let's say, by 0. Okay, let's just make it, yeah. Let's make it by 270. Don't worry, I just playing around and you can just see. You can see that it will keep rotating 270. So this is just loop. And a use case for loop would be, I don't know if you have come across interactions that usually have like texts, and then you see like some like a circle and text instead of, let me show what I'm trying to say. And instead of Figma, you have something like, let's say, a text, and then if you use this particular plugin, let me find it. What do you call it? Arc. Yes, Arc. That's the name of the plugin. And you want to just write, let's say, design dive, and you want to just use this particular plugin. Okay, let me find the plugin again. It's called Arc. All right. So let me just find the plugin Arc, and then you can bend. Okay, let's just run it. So you must have come across this kind of interaction. Let me just apply to this particular. Let me apply it here. So in this case, I'm just trying to play around, but if I did it very well, let me run the plugin again. If you make it to be like this, assuming I bring this here, okay, let me just copy this as a picture, copy this as PNG, and then you bring it into our Framer. Let's go back to Framer. Okay, let's delete this particular file, and let's just copy and paste it here as a picture. Okay, I'm pasting it. Let's just wait for it to paste, so we can understand how it works. Okay, yeah, so this is it. So if I bring this here and I apply an effect here, and we do the same loop, you can see now, if you make it, okay, if I let's just play and see, you can see that it's moving. Although this one is not perfect because of the way it is, but I'm just saying that I hope you get the idea that if you have seen interactions whereby something is moving without stopping, and this is like a use case, it's most likely like a loop interaction, basically. Let's just check the next one. I'm just trying to run very fast. So let's keep this one and cancel. Okay, yeah, let's just cancel the effect here. Let's take this one and see what the other effects. Okay, yeah, we also have scroll animation. So there are times when you want to achieve things like all these parallax effects, like you want different effects. Basically, you would do that using, our time is almost, is fast spent. So let's try scroll speed first. So let's use scroll speed. So basically, what scroll speed just does is that you can set the speed at which this particular section, for instance, will scroll compared to the other sections, basically. So for instance, let's make this one, let's give it like black so we can have an idea what I'm trying to say. Although these logos are okay, they don't really work, but let's just try so we can see. So this particular section now, let's give it its own scroll speed. So scroll speed, let's make it like 40%. So you can see what I'm saying. What that means is that every other one has a default scroll speed that is supposed to be for all the sections. But because we have made this one 40%, means that we have made this one slower. So if you play it, for instance, now, you have like some of parallax effect whereby this one is taking like it's taking lesser time to, so it's taking more time to scroll, while this one is scrolling like normal speed. And by doing that, you have a parallax effect. So there are times when you want to achieve like parallax, where as though different layers are moving at different speed. This is the way it's done. This is just like a mini way, but let me just, I hope you get the point. Let's go back. Let me take out this color. Let's just show what we are trying to say. So let's play it again. So basically, you can see that as we scroll this section, oh, it doesn't have any color now. Let's give it white actually. Let's make it white. So what we are doing is that as you play now and you scroll, you can see that this layer is covering this layer. So there are times when you have maybe a landing page and you want to do the scroll where you want to achieve like a parallax effect. It is done using like scroll speed, basically. So you just scroll and then you can see the way it's responding over time, basically. So let's just go back. The next one we have, let's click on this same one. Instead of scroll speed, let's try, let's go to effect. Let's try scroll transform. So basically, what scroll transform is going to do is that when you scroll, what will happen to this particular element. So it also shows what can happen. One of the ways, or one of the places they actually use this particular interaction, and you can quickly try it. Let me show you a website. It's called one of this website. Raise, yes, Raise Africa. So we can just see, and then I'll deal with this particular image. So we see the way it works, basically. Because I've tried it before. So we can see this particular image here. You know that when you scroll, you can see that it's as though it's a 3D, like there's a bend there, and then you scroll, then it comes to the screen, basically like it as though it's rotating on a 3D dimension. We can actually achieve that inside of Framer. Let's quickly do that. So we'll just go back to Framer. Some of all these things is also trial and error. So you can make mistakes, please, and then see how to achieve basically. I think one of the things to do here is to first let me see how they transform a 3D transform. Let me see origin perspective. I think it's perspective. Let me see 100. Okay, no, it's not perspective. Let me see. Skew. Okay. I've forgotten how to do this effect actually, but let me just scroll transform. Let me see. 3D is on Z. We want to. Okay, not Z. Uh, no, we want the scale to be one. We want this one to be one, but we want the movement. Let me see. Let's try Y. Okay, it's not Y. It should be. Okay, yeah. This is what we're something like this. Let's make one like 7. Let's make like 0 points. Let's say like 0.8. That's 80%. That's from. And then 2, let's make everything to be normal. So let's see how it works basically. So when you scroll, you can see that as we are moving, oh, okay, the parallax effect is still on. Let me take out the parallax effect so we can see what we are doing. Well, you can see that as you scroll now, this particular image, let me see, supposed to respond is stuck. Let's go back and check. Scroll transform from 0.8, that's 7, and then to 3ds 0. Okay, let's check again now. Let me go back. Yeah, I think there's something I'm supposed to have done here. Let me just be sure. Let me see. Is it depth? Let me see. No, it's not. This is not it. Okay, sorry. Some of all these things try and error. So I'm actually trying it now. There's something you have to. Let me see. This scales. Okay, it's rotate. Let's see. 3D. Okay, no. Okay. Okay, 7. All right, let's see. This. So let's see the scroll transform from 0. Let's see to that should be -7 actually. Okay, let's see. This should work. Oh wow, it's not working. Let me see. Something is wrong. So I'm just troubleshooting. Yeah, it happens. So as I said, feel free to make mistakes. Let me see. From 3D, that's 8 1. Okay, let's see. Actually, okay, 5. Let's make it 7. Let's make it like 3 here. And then let's make it like minus. Okay, -7. Let's see what's happening. Okay, let's play it again and see. Something is wrong. Let's go back. There's something here. Let's see. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's refresh it again. Let me see. Okay, it's actually working. Let me see. It's in my eyes. Let me go and check. Our time is fast spent, but let me just see that. Let's get this one to work. Let's see from, let's say minus, let's say from 7 here. From 7 to minus. Okay, is this one will give us an idea if it's working. I think, I don't know why it's not going. Let me see. Something is wrong here. Let me see. I think I missed out on a particular. I think okay. I'm just trying to troubleshoot to see why it's not working. Is it the let me see if you make it. Okay, let's make it like 7. Okay, let's see now. So 7. Okay, let's go to -7 here and then see how it's going to work basically. This should work. This should work. This should work. 0 from 7. Okay, yeah, it should work now. All right. For some weird reasons, it's not. Let me see. On school. Okay, wait, when the layer is in here. Okay, it's working now. See. Oh yeah, it's working. Okay, yes, it's working, it's working. I think it was scrolling. So we can see that it's responding actually. See. So yeah, at least we got this one right. Let's just exaggerate it so we can see what we're saying. So again from okay, it's still one. Let's take this thing to like mine. Let's just try this one and then see. Okay, let me see. So from to so let's just play around and just okay. Yeah, I think we'll just stop here for now. I don't know if you have any questions so far. Do you have any questions? I know it's like the whole lot, and then we're just trying to play around. But do you have any questions, or you would go and check them out basically, like in more detail? Let me see. Did we miss out on any other one? I think there's still one left. But do you have any questions so far? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't have any questions right now.
So I'm guessing that you go and check them out, like basically, isn't it?
Exactly, especially this
3D.
this effect I just did. Yes, it looks so cool. I've always wondered how people usually do it.
Okay, yeah, it could be done in frame actually. You just have to just ensure that this your rotates. Like you have to have rotated it before you add the effect. Like you must have changed the perspective so that by the time you add the effect, it's like bringing it from minus something to plus something or to zero. I don't know if you get the point, but you have to have like tweak the picture or the particular layer and then you can rotate it. I think we'll just stop here. Our time is actually fast spent. So yeah, we'll just stop here. And for our assignment, let me just go straight to it. Yeah, we'll stop here, but for our assignment, I want us to work on another landing page again, like another design. So please help me jot it down on the group. And that design, same amount of sections, but you just add interactions to it. That's it. So we can pick another industry, not fintech now. Something else, another industry that you like. Or what industry would you suggest? Okay, maybe we'll decide on that.